The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA is heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Hey, I'm Josh Spiegel, host of the podcast Lunatic in the Newsroom. If you enjoy journalism that drifts into mild panic, wild overthinking, and a guaranteed nervous breakdown, Lunatic in the Newsroom is for you. It's news like you've never heard before. The only newsroom with a panic button. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and gasp in horror as the show spirals completely out of control. It's not just news, it's emotionally unstable. Lunatic in the Newsroom. Listen today.
The CJ Moneyway Show, in association with Bleav Network. Guest Dr. Lynn Banis. Welcome to the CJ Moneyway Show, where we build success brick by brick through stories of resilience, faith, and the courage to begin again. I'm your host, CJ Moneyway, and today we're talking about one of the hardest rebuilds any person can face: life after loss. My guest, Dr. Lynn Banis, knows that journey intimately. Within just 3 years, she lost her mother, her little brother, and her husband, the kind of compounded grief that could stop anyone in their tracks. Pain that deep doesn't just shake your world, it erases it. But instead of letting loss define the rest of her story, Lynn allowed it to refine her purpose. Today, she helps widows move from isolation to connection, from survival to significance, guiding women as they rediscover themselves and rebuild lives filled with meaning, fulfillment, and joy.
How you doing, Dr. Lynn? How you doing? How you doing?
Great. I love your music.
Oh, thank you. That was specifically for you because
I got that.
I admire your journey and the things that you're doing and you know, just staying strong and keeping your head above water, just going over your itinerary, your background. You know, I commend you a whole lot. Dr. Lynn from Niles, Michigan. Hey, so Doc, let me ask you, the breaking point. You said that losing your mother, brother, and husband within 3 years pulled the rug out from under you. Can you take us back to that season of your life? What did it feel like waking up each day in that fog of loss?
Oh, boy. My husband passed about 1 a.m. And the first thing when I woke up the next morning, it was like, oh, this isn't real, you know. But then my daughter had come to stay the night with me and she got up and we started talking and yeah, it became real. And I think the most difficult thing that I realized just within that first day was that absolutely every little thing in my life had changed. Mm-hmm. And most of it had disappeared and would not come back. And it's like a tsunami hitting you, just overwhelming.
I can recall November 22nd, 2015. I just published my first book. November 15th, 2015. So 7 days later, we were sitting there. We was at the hospital. My father had back surgery and we was at the hospital. And, you know, that Sunday, me, him, and my mother, and we watching the game. We watching the Bears game. And, you know, we laughing and talking and, you know, say, okay, because he was going to rehab. He was going to start rehab that Monday.
Right.
Man, they called about 9 o'clock that night. You know, it was just devastating, Doc. It was devastating. It hurt. So, you know, I don't know the type of the grief that you have because every grief is different. You know what I'm saying? A wife losing a husband or a child and, you know what I'm saying, of that nature, or a child losing their mother, you know what I'm saying, opposed to the father. It's just different. And so sometimes you can't explain, you know what I'm saying, the different things or people actually understand what you're going through unless they have went through it, you know.
Exactly.
And so,
exactly. And it compounds. It compounds. You know, if you have more than one of those events within a shorter period of time, it's difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine. You know, I was just talking to somebody yesterday about the book of Job. and how he lost, everything, lost his children, lost his, everything that he owned and this and that. And it was a test from God. Can we imagine that? You know what I'm saying? That God takes the things that we love and cherish and, for a test for us to be resilient, and to pull through and break through something that I see in you right now.
Well, that's kind of funny because during my life, when I've realized I'm being recycled to learn something that I hadn't learned before, I'd kind of go, oh, please just make this quick. I'm going to get it this time.
Yeah, I know, boy. That tested and that purified, boy, it's tough. It's tough. We don't want it, but it's something that's needed. And he didn't put nothing in us. I know the words say that he won't put nothing no more on us than we can bear. And I could just imagine the bareness, just like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Like this and that, like, come on. You feel like, do you really? Do you really love me? And so, let me ask you, Doc, was there a specific moment or maybe a small decision that became your turning point towards healing?
Yeah, it took me a long time. I did what I would never suggest to my clients, and that is that I downsized. We had a big house and a big yard and a pool, and I just thought, I can't take care of all this by myself. It's too much. And that allowed me to kind of ignore healing. And that's one of the things that happens. People will do things to keep themselves busy so that they don't have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. But what happened with me was that I was so busy getting ready to sell, then finding a new house and moving, that my body just said, knock it off. And for 3 months, I had one thing after another. And I was so sick. And that gave me the time to really reflect on what was going on and how I could best manage it.
Man, tests and trials. Sometimes, as you say, he had to put us down sometimes. I'm moving too fast. I'm doing this. Well, I don't really have time to, think about one thing or another. But then he'll put us in that situation where we're commanded to have to listen. We may not want to have listened at the time. Like, okay, I'll put that and then he just brings a storm about somehow, and where we just have to sit down and listen. I think about Joseph when he went to the prison. That was a situation where he had to be there to learn something that he needed to know to move forward. So sometimes we don't like it that way, but his thoughts are not our thoughts and his ways are not our ways, Doc. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've learned.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Doc, let me ask you. You've worked as a psychologist and coach, but you also been the patient of your own advice. How did that shift your understanding of grief?
Well, really going through that, it was different with my mother. We were very close, but when she was 100, I had her come live with us, and she lived till 106.
Wow.
And that was just the most precious time because we came, we just got so tight. And that was one of those things where, it has to come. It's not easy, but it's coming.
Yeah.
And that's really called anticipatory grief. It was manageable because I was trying to prepare for it. But then my little brother, I got a call in the middle of the night. He's 9 years younger than me. That's not supposed to happen when you lose a younger sibling. And he'd had a massive heart attack. And then my husband was kind of like your dad. He was to be moved on Monday, I think, and this was Sunday night. And they called me and said, he's in ICU. You've got to come. And that kind of shock makes everything worse. Mm-hmm. So I think that my perspective has just grown really broad because, in my training, I had learned to stay apart from taking on my clients' issues and being able to be that stable person that held a container for you to discover and explore and start that healing, it became very, very clear to me that, as you had said earlier, nobody knows what this is like until you go through it yourself and in your own style, at your own pace. And I think what happened with me was during that time when I was sick, I just, thought back through my life and I thought, I have all the skills, all the knowledge, all the techniques that I've been using for years that I can use to help people through this. Nobody should have to go through it alone. So that's when my perspective on how to deal with it really changed, because I knew that I had something over and above what most grief people have to offer my clients. And so at that point, I started to look at it as an open door, that if we can get to the door and get through it, we have the incredible opportunity to create a life that really fits us and that allows us to be who we were sent here to be.
So let me ask you, Doc, because I know, we go through seasons of mourning or grief, like when that anniversary time come back around or sometime around that time, I know my mother, she goes through it, because it happened around Thanksgiving. Matter of fact, it was November 22nd. So it was like a couple of days before Thanksgiving. And so you get into that period, like you said, until you still grieve, but you can break away from it. It's not fully attached as it was in the moment. So let me ask you, how long did it take you to get from that point to the detachment? You know what I'm saying? But, although we still feel it, but to say, I can move forward after this.
I started working on creating a new business after a year. I was still struggling. And I think even now, it's just been 3 years, or is 3 years in January. And there are moments when I still have that giant tidal wave coming over me. And I find myself crying, or I find myself really depressed for a period of time. But now I know how to sit with that, accept it, feel it, and then let it go. So it doesn't rule my life anymore.
Yeah. Like it's certain things, like I've found out for me, for my father, for his 8th year anniversary, I did a song back in the day. You probably heard of this group, Motown, Smokey Robinson. So they did a song in this movie, and it was called Smokey Robinson saying, "I'm really gonna miss you." And so I did that for the 8th year anniversary of his passing away, and put it on the internet and everything. And, people loved it. People was crying, my mother, crying and everything. And so this year I'm into the AI music thing and whatever. So I did an original song. And so as you're saying, with me, I found that that's my outlet. You know what I'm saying? Like I can take it in, but then I can let it go at the same time. You know what I'm saying? I found something that, okay, I can remember you. I can remember the good times and the love, you know what I'm saying? But I got my focus on this. And so once it's out, it's out. I'm creating moments that will always be there. You know what I'm saying? So that's the most important part, that I think that when you get to that acceptance, you know what I'm saying? The acceptance of what has actually took place, and then we can, move forward, but the love will always be there.
Always. And, I think that when we can get to the point where we can be creative and we can give to others, then we are able to receive that back as nurturing and healing. And this year I did the same thing as you. I did an AI song called Not Alone This Christmas. And I gave it to a lot of my friends as a gift. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah. It touches people's heart. You know what I'm saying? And when they hear it, and cause I put it on Facebook. No, I put it on YouTube, and somebody, they say, "What's the name of that song?" Like it was an old song that they never heard before or something, but that was something that I had did. And so I sent it to her. So that's cool. Let's collaborate, Doc. I think we got something in common right now. So Doc, let me ask you, What does your transformation process look like for widows who feel stuck, not just sad, but uncertain of who they are now?
Well, I think that's a big thing. You just hit the nail on the head because you've lost your identity. And that's very, very, very disorienting. So I don't begin to really work with people until they have gotten control of the emotional part and they've gotten through that total upheaval. Their brain has started to unfog itself and they can start to make decisions. And then I work through a lot of things like making sure they have their values identified and they're acting on them and their beliefs, and working with self-limiting beliefs and getting rid of the ones that aren't helping them and replacing them with ones that are beneficial and will help them, see the world in a more positive manner. We work on worldview. We work on all the kinds of things that our thinking gets messed up and causes us to have blocks. So we get rid of as many of those blocks as we possibly can, so that I kind of think of it as peeling back the layers of all the garbage life has put on you. We came here with none of that. We were just naked little babies with none of that heaviness. And over the years, we've taken on things that aren't ours. A lot of them aren't ours, and we carry those, and they get in the way of everything. And sometimes we adopt beliefs that when we really take a good look at them, really what's happening, and we could find a different way to look at things, a different perspective. So we go through all of that, and then I work with people around identifying what is happening when they're in flow. And this is a piece other people don't have, I don't think, because I was one of a dozen or so people trained in this. I do a biographical interview where we go through the times when people were doing something they loved to do and they felt like they did it well and they just kind of lost track of time. You know what that's like to be totally in flow. So I identify what they're doing, how very specifically they're doing it, what is motivating them to do that. And then we look at, well, what's the environment that supports you when you are in that state of flow? Then I take all of that information and we put it together and start building a vision, a future vision that the person knows will fit them and they can maintain, because they will have created the environment also that will support them. And then they create kind of a blueprint of how to get there. Then I put them in a group of other women who are doing the same thing. So that's kind of like a mastermind supporting each other, making that full transition.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you that real quick. So how is your approach different from traditional grief groups? And what makes your process more about rebuilding than recovering?
Well, many, many grief groups just allow people to go over and over and over their experience and their emotions. And for me, that just seats it deeper and you don't deal with it. So I really advocate that people find someone who can help them deal with things. That's really important, because not only does it help alleviate the pain, but it also helps them understand that they're powerful. Mm-hmm. They have the ability to handle this and do it and stand on their own 2 feet and be successful. And they don't have to live in a mire for the rest of their lives. I mean, I have people that I see that are 10, 15 years grieving, desperately grieving. And that is so unhealthy for us. We know that it causes physical and psychological issues. So getting past the just trying to deal with emotions is huge. And for me, you not only have to get past it intellectually, but you got to get it somatically in your bones so your body believes it. And then that gives you the support.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA is heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
To go forward.
Check out the movement. Family, real quick. Lean in. If you're listening to this right now, then you already know the Moneyway ain't just a podcast. It's a movement. So make sure you tap into everything we building. It's a Moneyway moving music. New tracks dropping every week. It's the CJ Moneyway Show. Global ranked, purpose-driven voices. Moneyway mindset. Daily inspiration. Real talk, no fluff. You can find it all right now on Instagram, YouTube, and everywhere you stream. Just search out some Moneyway. That's where purpose lives. That's where the next level starts. And that's where we leveling up. Together. Now let's get back to the show.
You know, I'm just listening to you say that. And one thing that popped into my mind is that a lot of times we can say certain things like, oh, you know, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm over it. But man, deep down inside, you know, once I get away from Dr. Lynn and I'm at home by myself, I'm no more over it than I was the first day that it happened. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just lying to myself. And so then I'm lying to you because I'm lying to myself. But I see what you're saying too in this part. You have to be honest with yourself in order to get to this to get over the emotional part of it.
Absolutely. And we are very good at hiding truth from ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
As a culture, do not like to look at ourselves and figure out who we are and why we're here and what we're supposed to, you know, what's our mission. That's important.
You talk about this music thing. I did a song called I Had to Check Myself. And that's the bottom line. You first have to check yourself and get the inner you to match the outer you so that I can be like Dr. Lynn and reach people. I can't reach people if I don't know myself. If I'm lying to myself, how can I reach or help somebody else? You know, it just don't happen like that.
No, we all need a mirror in front of us and we ignore it, you know?
You do. Yeah, because we're afraid to see, as I said, where I'm from, the home of Michael Jackson, Gary, Indiana. We're afraid to look at that man in the mirror. And so let me ask you, Doc, connection and compassion. That's another thing that we have too, which I think that we missing in society today. Compassion and empathy.
Yes.
No, it can mean the same thing, you know, but we're missing all those elements. Love, compassion, empathy, sympathy, all of that. So let me ask you, Doc, you help people move from loneliness to connection. What role does community play in healing, and how can friends and family truly show up for someone grieving?
Oh boy, you really got two good ones there. Let me start with how family and friends can help, because that's such a tender, difficult spot, not only for the grieving person, but also for the people who are trying to be friends and family and supportive. And the truth is that we have a taboo in this country around talking about death, talking about loss, depression, grief, and we have never taught each other how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. So I think the onus of that is both on the person grieving and on the people who are trying to be there and be helpful. There are many, many things that we can do. First and foremost is show your love and then think. People just think they're saying the right thing, but they're not. I mean, even Christians, if you say, oh, he's in a better place, that poor person is going, no, I want him here. You know, it's like that moment of anguish isn't going to be helped by words. It's going to be helped by a hand on the shoulder, a hug, and I'm here for you. You don't have to say anything. I'm just glad to sit. Those kinds of things are so much more important than saying something. And we're so afraid that we'll say the wrong thing, and often we do, that we avoid it. So, and actually, it's true that if you have been in a couple and one of you's gone, you lose a lot of friends. And it's not that they don't care for you anymore. It's that they're so uncomfortable with the other person not there. There's that empty seat. There's that hole. And they don't know what to do about it. So those of us in grief need to say, I don't know what I want right now or what I need, but I so appreciate you checking in on me. Just let them know any little thing that does feel comforting. People come, I had to laugh at this. I got so many, like 13 by 9 pans of lasagna when Bill passed. And they're just me. Me. And every time my kids would come over, I'd be going, here, take this for your family. And finally went, no more lasagna. Think about the circumstances. Of course, if a lot of family are coming in the beginning, yes, a lot of food is fine. And understand that the grieving person doesn't want to eat. They don't want to fix anything. Their motivation is non-existent. So do things like a small bowl of fruit, a small snack tray, something that they can kind of graze on and not have to try to get the energy to get up and get it all together and fixed. So I think that those kinds of thoughtful processes really help people manage that. What do I do and what do I say?
Yeah, because like you say, sometimes you say the wrong thing. As we said earlier when we first started, you just don't know what to say to somebody when you haven't experienced that. When you haven't experienced something someone else haven't experienced, you really don't. You can't say, well, I know how you feel. No, you don't. You know what I'm saying? You haven't experienced what I've been through, so you can't know how I feel. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like you say, give me a hug, I love you. I'm always going to be here for you because, when it first happened, you have family gatherings, as you say, everybody meeting up and then up until the funeral. And then you had a repast and everybody, you talking and you reminiscing about things. But after that, everybody disappears. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, everybody disappears. You only got you and whoever you got, and sometimes that circle, as you said, gets very, very small. So I agree with you, Doc. I totally agree with you.
One thing that surprised me about the process is there were days when I physically felt the loneliness as pain in my body and in my bones. It was so difficult. And that's something that a lot of my clients agree that, and that's something, if you've never experienced that, how in the world could you possibly understand? And if you haven't experienced something like this, how in the world could you possibly expect corporate America, people to be back to themselves after 3 days of bereavement leave, after 6 months, after, whatever, saying to somebody, aren't you better? Aren't you over it yet? That's not helpful.
Yeah, I know. And it depends on the years. Let me ask you this real quick, Doc. How long were you and Bill married?
35 years.
That's a long time, That's a lot of memories. That's 3 decades and a half, So, as you say, the 3 days and the 6 months, you can't get over 35 years of experience with someone, you know what I'm saying, in that short amount of time. Those are lifetime experiences that you would never fully, get over. But in that short period of time, it's definitely not going to happen. I could be at work sometime and I'm just spazzing out, or I just, as you said earlier, I remember I was in church and, church service was good and everything, clapping and everything, whatever. Then all of a sudden, just bust out in tears, like if somebody just say something to you, it's like you just get emotional, for no reason, just get emotional. But you got your inner emotions that you're going through, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. I mean, that's a process that we go through, Doc, Thank God for giving us strength to keep moving forward. So, Doc, as we get ready to wind up, I just got a couple more questions for you. Sure. Let me ask you this. Legacy and new purpose. You've turned your pain into purpose. What does joy look like for you now?
Wow. I've worked really hard to get myself aligned with who I am and what my purpose and mission and vision is. And joy is something that's with me almost all the time now. Things are much easier because they're aligned. It's like a puzzle with all the pieces together. And I'm finding that I can giggle and laugh and enjoy things and look at my silly puppies and start laughing out loud because they're kind of goofy. And I wasn't able to do that before. And so I think that joy is just accepting and enjoying the beauty of what's around us in our own life.
Just enjoy, because as you know more than a lot of us know, man, just enjoy people, enjoy your family, enjoy your loved ones, because tomorrow is not promised to none of us. You know what I'm saying? We never know when our time is, gonna come, or somebody else's time that we love gonna come, man. Just, savor the moment, man, and just start loving one another. Whoever listening right now, you got to out against somebody, man, go and solve that. Get that over with, man. Because life is too short.
When your parents die, if you can say, I have no regrets. We said everything we needed to say to each other. We knew how much we loved each other. I mean, that is such a comfort.
Mm-hmm. And like you say, because I think that was the one thing that I felt when I had to go to the hospital, because I was the first one there. And I said, man, I was telling the nurse, he was a male nurse. And I said, I didn't get a chance to tell him I love him. And he said, you the one who wrote the book? I'm like, yeah. He was like, he know you love him. You know what I'm saying? He said he knew you love him. So I guess he was at the hospital talking about me writing the book, and everything. So that was, comforting now that I think about it now. But at the moment, you ain't thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's a whole nother conversation. Hey, so Doc, let me ask you this. First, Doc, where can we find you at? Where can women connect with you that, that may be going through some similar situations or some things? Where can they find you at? Where can they connect with you at?
They can connect with me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. I have a website that's app.widowsrisingtogether.com. And those are really two of the best things. The other thing is, I would love to send you a copy. I've got a couple little pieces. One of them is how to help your family and friends know what to do when there's a loss like this and how to support each other. So that's something some people really, really appreciate. And the other one, I don't know. You tell me. I have a couple things on what you need to do as a human being, whether you're a couple or alone, what you need to have in order long before you pass, because it is so hard on the person that's left. And even if that's your child, your friend, whatever, if they don't know where to find things and it's not in order, it is horrible. So I'd be glad to send you both of those, and you can just pop them on when you put this on the air.
I definitely will, Doctor. Whatever you send me, I'll put it out there.
All right.
Okay. One final question, Doc, before we get out of here. What's one message you want to send to every widow or grieving person to hear when they think that there's nothing left for them?
Okay. Sit down and think through your whole life. Make a timeline, if you need to, of all the things that you've experienced, and acknowledge that you made it through. Could have been messy, but you made it through. I'm telling you, everything you've experienced in your life has prepared you for where you are right now. You have the strength. You have the ability. And if you don't know how to figure that out for yourself, find someone who is trained and can help you, because that is what gets you through, knowing at the core of you that you are strong, you're okay, and you're worthy.
You are worthy. You heard it from Dr. Lynn Banis. that you are worthy. And if you need someone to talk to, as the old song said, lean on me when you need a friend. Dr. Lynn say she's there to help those who are in grief. Hey, Dr. Lynn, thank you for coming on the show. And you just reminded us that grief doesn't end when the tears stop. It ends when purpose begins. Her story proves that the same pain that breaks you can also build you brick by brick into a stronger, more compassionate version of your younger self. If this conversation spoke to your soul, share it with someone who needs light in their darkness. Big thanks to our network, Bleav Network, and our partners, Pod Match, which both this is how me and Dr. Lynn connected. Optimist Clips for helping us share stories that moves heart and change lives. Keep building your faith, your purpose, and your legacy. I'm your host, CJ Moneyway, and this is how we move mountains. Hey, boy, CJ Moneyway with my new friend, Dr. Lynn. Until the next time, we out of here. Peace.
Before you go, let me leave you with this. Every story shared here, it's a reminder that your story matters too. Keep your faith sharp, keep your focus steady, keep your vision clear. And if this episode gave you wisdom, hope, or a push forward, share it with somebody you love. Tap in with me on all platforms, Edge Moneyway, and stay locked into the movement, because God's not done writing your chapter. This is the CJ Moneyway Show. Brick by brick, and always Moneyway.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA is heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.
What separates dreamers from industry leaders? Your Brand Amplified uncovers the answer. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I have authentic, in-depth conversations with proven entrepreneurs and business experts. Some sharing the exact strategies that grew their brands, others revealing the personal stories behind their success. From digital marketing tactics to mindset shifts that change everything. They're real conversations that bridge aspiration and achievement. Find Your Brand Amplified on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.